Thanks for watching at France 24 and welcome to the business interview. I'm Marcus Carlson. The face of the global economy is changing and the balance is shifting away from the Western world to developing economies. Just listen to this. In a recent report, the World Bank said 6 developing economies will account for more than half of global growth by 2025. They include Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, South Korea and Russia. And joining us now for more on these changes is Justin Lin, who's chief economist at the World Bank. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Now, it's a powerful message that emerging market economies will dominate global growth in the economy, the global economy. Why is that? And why is the growth, where is the growth rather going to come from?
Well, it's a fact. And it's a fact in the making for decades. Mm-hmm. And if you look in the 1990s, 20% of the global growth came from developing countries. In the 2000, 37%. And in the crisis time, 50%. And we predict this kind of trend will continue. And it's because the developing countries, they have much more potential for growth. And developed country is a mature country, and the potential for growth will be smaller.
But is that a foregone conclusion, though, that emerging economies will dominate global growth? Aren't there any downside risks when it comes to their development?
I don't think it's a dominate. It means that it provides more opportunities for everyone. Certainly, we know that the majority of population are still in a developing country. If they can have higher growth, certainly it will be a very important driving force for the improvement of their income or their living standard or poverty reduction. At the same time, that will also provide opportunity for the high-income country. Mm-hmm. Because high-income country, their export are mainly capital goods. And if the developing country can grow faster, that means there will be a larger market for the developed country.
So there's no dichotomy between developing economies and developed economies?
No. I think it's a win-win situation for everyone.
But there is talk about a lot of risks, though, in emerging economies. There's talk of inflation, and there are also a lot of concerns about the fact that China could slow down faster than expected or quicker than expected. What do you make of those risks, and which one do you think is the most dangerous?
Well, I think that currently, in the past 3 years, the developing country, the emerging market, like China, like India, they contribute a lot to the global recoveries. Mm-hmm. And basically, their production already reached the pre-crisis level. So they has no excess capacity and those kind of things. And that means that the further growth certainly makes some kind of ceiling. And that is the reason why the inflation rate in China, in India, in Brazil, and so on are picking up. So to control the inflation rate, certainly they have to slow down a little bit.
And what kind of a risk is that, the inflation rate? I want to press you a little bit more on that. What kind of dangers are we facing because of higher inflation?
Well, certainly high inflation rate may cause some kind of social tension, and it also indicates the bottleneck of the growth in the country. However, I would like to say the danger for a sharp correction is not the question. I think that they are going to have some kind of soft landing. And they will still maintain a very high growth rate, although it may not be 2-digit, but for them to maintain at 8%, 9%, I think it will still be there. And there will still be the driving force for the global recovery.
So when there's speculation of a sharp slowdown in China, that is just that, speculation?
I think that's speculation, but I don't think that will be there.
All right. I want to talk to you a little bit about you and your own experience, because you're from an emerging economy yourself. You're from China.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's a lot of talk about the need to reform the global economy and also reform, for instance, the IMF and the institution that you work for, the World Bank. You're the World Bank's first chief economist from a developing country. Do we need to have more people like you?
Well, actually, in the World Bank, now we have a lot of people from the developing countries. For example, we had 3 managing directors, and all of them come from developing country. And one from Nigeria, one from Egypt, the other one from Indonesia. So we do have a lot of changes in this kind of voice from the developing country. Certainly, I think the international organization need to reflect the change in the global landscape. And now developing country, each contributing to the global economy increasing, their voice, their representation need to be increased. And those kind of changes has been going on in the World Bank, in an IMF, and I'm sure also in other international organizations.
But traditionally, of course, an American has been at the top of the World Bank and a European has held a seat as IMF managing director. Do you think that that's going to have to change?
Well, I think now the understanding that we need to base on merit, not on origin of the nation. And who should be the head of this institution, or that institution should be determined by the member country of those institutions.
So you're saying that there are a lot of candidates with merit from emerging economies as well. And now, of course, there's talk of Christine Lagarde taking the head of or becoming IMF managing director. What would you make of that kind of move?
Well, I think it's a good sign. And I'm sure the final person to be elected, he or she will feel happy because the selection is based on merit.
Now, of course, you're not from the International Monetary Fund yourself. You're from its sister institution, the World Bank. But do you think that Christine Lagarde would be a good person to have at the top?
Well, I think that in terms of credential, she's very strong. But as I mentioned, other candidates from developing country, they also have a very strong credential. And who should be the head of IMF certainly depends on the selection process of these 187 member countries.
All right, let's move on to another topic. Now, you're in Paris for an annual World Bank conference on development. And the theme this year is broadening opportunities for development. Talk us through what exactly that means.
Well, certainly, we hope to have economic development that benefit all the people to make it inclusive. And on the other hand, we also need to have the people to make a contribution to the economic growth. And so the theme of the conference this year is broaden opportunity for development. On the one hand, we need to make this economic development process create more and more jobs. So all the people in the country, in the economy, they can benefit from the economic growth. But at
so it's
time,
about including everyone in development and in the economic growth.
And they need to increase the job opportunity and so on. And at the same time, we also need to enhance people's ability to take the job, to make a contribution. And so in this conference, we try to explore this dimension of development from both sides.
Let's talk about one of those issues that you just mentioned there, job growth and making sure that people actually have employment. How do you encourage that at this point? What's your solution at this stage?
If you look economic growth rate in quite a number of countries, in Africa, in North Africa, and in other parts of the world, their growth rate was quite remarkable. It reached 6%, 7%. But the job creation has been very slow. So that gives us some kind of new reflection. Maybe we need to change the growth pattern a little bit, because we know that job will be created in the agricultural sectors, job will be created in the manufacturing sectors, job will be created in the service sectors. And we need to explore the opportunity in those areas which can create more jobs. At the same time, we also need to enhance people's ability to take those kind of jobs. Sometimes you have job opportunities, but people are not qualified in terms of education, in terms of their capacities. And in that case, even if you have opportunity, people may not be able to take the job. And so this is an opportunity for us to reflect what happened in the past so we can chart a path for the future.
And how do you do that?
Well, certainly improve the understanding, improve the policy framework, and then implement, translate those kind of understanding and into policy and also into training, education, facilitation, enabling environment.
Would you say that job growth and employment is the number one key to development at this stage, or are there other factors that we also need to take into account?
Well, at this stage, certainly that is a very important issue because we see what happened in North Africa and the Middle East. And one of the challenging issues certainly is the young people, they may not get the job opportunities. But at the same time, for this stage of the global economy, food security, food price volatility is also a main challenges because we know that food prices increased 36% compared to last year price level. And because of that, 44 million people, they drop into poverty.
But just very briefly here at the end, how do you get those global food prices down? As you say, we have seen them staggering, or we have seen them increasing a lot lately.
Well, there's a long-run solution and short-run solution. For the long-run solution, certainly you need to increase agricultural productivity, produce more. And for the short-run solutions, well, you need to increase the transparency to the people, understand how large is the stock, how large is the production that will come. And secondly, we also need to, encourage free trade because sometimes the high price was as a result of poor policy intervention. Supposedly, some country want to ban the export. Then I'm sure the price will, overreact. And the third thing is that we need to target the vulnerable people. We need to have some reserve. We need to have some financial resources and to mobilize timely to provide some kind of emergency relief for the poor people who are hit by these high prices.
All right, Justin Lin, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thanks very much once again for speaking to us today.
It's my pleasure.
And with that, we're going to wrap up the program. Thanks for watching France 24, and you can catch more business news on our website, france24.com. Stay with us.